Welcome to today's show, Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Burgess, passionate, inspirational speaker, author, poet, and entrepreneur. Welcome to Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count. I'm delighted that you joined me today. I want to give a great big thank you and shout out to all of you listening today, all around the world. I'm delighted and so grateful that you joined me. I want to let you know that I've made a few changes to my show. The first change is that I want you to know a little bit more about me and that you can now find my podcasts under the heading of management on some of our listening platforms. That's right, management. So, if you're just finding me and tuning in for the very first time, I want you to know that I'm a leader and an entrepreneur. In fact, I have founded or co-founded not one, not two, but 3 successful businesses. Or maybe I should say 3 successful organizations, because 1 is a nonprofit and 2 are for-profit businesses. Yes, that's right. Now, before I became an entrepreneur, which was over 25 years ago now, I worked in corporate America for some really big companies like Xerox and Citibank. I also worked in higher education as an administrator and as a professor. As a matter of fact, I still do a little professing every now and then. I'm also a founding partner with the John Maxwell team, and I'm one of their faculty members as well, where I help all kinds of people leave their job, their job, and start their own business. I help speakers and coaches and trainers hone and polish their skills as well. So, if you're looking for a dynamic speaker to open or close an event, or if you need a caring and experienced coach or a trusted advisor or thought partner to help you with your business strategy or to develop the leaders in your organization, let's talk about how I can serve you and add value to you and your team. You can connect with me via LinkedIn or on Facebook. On LinkedIn, just look me up. I'm Dr. Gloria J. Burgess. Later in this show, I'll tell you how to easily find me on Facebook as well. Now, if you'd prefer to connect with me via email, use this email address. Just type in info, at gloriaburgess.com. All right? Great. So again, I'm delighted and so very grateful that you joined me today. I sure hope you're enjoying a fabulous day and that you're having a fantastic week. Because you know what? In the grand song of the universe, life is very, very short. It's short and sweet and very precious. So I hope you're making a difference in your own life. Because you know what? When you do, you also make a difference in someone else's life. Now, a lot of folks really want to make their life count for something, but they don't know how, or it just seems so big and overwhelming, they don't know how or where to begin. So they ask me, Dr. Gloria, how do you do that? How do you make your life count? Well, let me tell you, it's very simple, very, very simple. You make your life count day by day, step by step, smile by smile, every single day, 365, 24/7. You make your life count by making real connections with people. Now, don't get me wrong, social media is great for some things, but in your real everyday life, do you want followers or do you want to be connected with real people? Do you want air friends or do you want real friends you can actually talk with and be with? Can I just tell you something? When life throws you a curve, you want people who know you and love you, not just people who friend you and like you, right? I know you know what I'm talking about. I know that I'm talking to somebody out there, okay? Now, you can make a huge difference in somebody's life today. How? You can make a difference simply by being grateful. That's right, by being grateful. Grateful for who you are, whose you are, and by being grateful that when you know whose you are, you can lead with a sense of steadiness and purpose. You can lead with courage and confidence. You can lead with mastery through any situation. Now, I'm going to stop right here for just a minute. I know that some of you are wondering, is this Dr. Gloria talking to me? Because you may not even think of yourself as a leader. Maybe you're a doctor or nurse or teacher, or maybe, like me, you're an entrepreneur or an artist. Or maybe you're a student in college or high school and you have no idea what you want to be or do after you graduate. Well, let me tell you this. It does not matter what you do in your professional life, and it doesn't matter what life stage you're in. You are a leader. Now, how can I say that with such clarity and conviction and confidence? Here's the thing. If you are participating in this wonderful adventure we call life, then guess what? You are a leader. Maybe, just maybe, you are the only person you're leading at the moment. But somebody has to be in charge, right? And that's you. You are in charge of yourself. So, you can make a difference in your own life, and you can also make a difference in someone else's life. When you know how to lead yourself, you can take that knowledge and transfer it. You can transfer those skills and competencies so you can lead in any circumstance. Now, today we are going to talk about how to do just that. Specifically, we're going to talk about leadership and gratitude. I am going to share with you about the mindset of a great leader. This mindset is summed up quite nicely in this wonderful quote from Max Dupree. Here's what he says. Dupree reminds us that the very first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. And the last responsibility of a leader? The last responsibility is to say thank you. And in between, he says, the leader is a servant. Now I'm going to repeat that. The first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. And the last responsibility is to say thank you. And in between, the leader is a servant. Now let me unpack this just a bit. What Dupree is saying here is the first aspect in the mindset of a great leader. Okay, and that's what? To define reality. Now this simply means that you have to have a clear grasp of what's happening around you and within you. And you must have the ability to clearly communicate, to clearly articulate what's happening around you and within you. The second aspect in the mindset of a great leader is gratitude. Now, how many times have you heard me talk about gratitude on this show, right? If you're my daughter or one of my clients or one of my students or my husband, you've heard me say any number of times that gratitude is one of the greatest gifts you can give to anyone. I'll say a little bit more about that later in the show. The third aspect of the mindset of a great leader is to be a servant. So in between defining reality and saying thank you, the leader is a servant. Now today I want to focus on that very special responsibility that we have as leaders, and that's saying thank you. the responsibility of expressing our gratitude. I've done quite a bit of research on gratitude, and as I said earlier, I'm constantly reminding my clients, my students, my family about the power of gratitude. Now, my sisters and I grew up steeped, I'm talking about steeped, in learning about and practicing the power of counting our blessings, the power of love, the power of respecting others, the power of honoring our elders and everyone else in our personal village, right? Now, all of these things, all of these practices are aspects of gratitude. In fact, one of my mentors refers to them as the long arms of gratitude. I just love that. Several years ago, I read an article that talked about Marshall Ramsey, an editorial cartoonist. Now, apparently, when he was a young boy, his mother would give him a pencil and a piece of paper in order to keep him quiet during church service. She was an art teacher, and Ramsey must have learned a few things about art from her along the way to his 2 Pulitzer Prize nominations as a cartoonist. When he left his position as editorial cartoonist at the Clarion Ledger in Jackson, Mississippi, Ramsey actually expressed his gratitude for those 2 Pulitzer Prize nominations. More importantly, he named the various people who made a way for him to achieve that level of excellence along the way. But several years earlier, when he was asked to list what he was most grateful for, those nominations were not on the list. So what was? What did he actually put on that list? Well, here we go. He was grateful for his very first job after college, which was as a high school janitor. He was grateful for a major recession because it compelled him to take a part-time job. He was grateful for being diagnosed with cancer, with melanoma. He was also grateful for the folks who didn't have his back, for the folks who didn't believe in him. Now, what do all of these things have in common? Well, they sound kind of like snags or bumps in the road, don't they? But you know what? When we hit bumps in the road, those bumps are actually very special moments. Why? Because they give us an opportunity to take a closer look at the bumps. That's right. Because behind every bump, there is a blessing. You see, in his first job out of college, he worked as a janitor, just like my dad. And because of that particular job, Mr. Ramsey met the woman he would later marry. How did that happen? Well, she was the daughter of a fellow janitor. Now, how cool is that? You know, some folks, when they lose their jobs, they just get grumpy. All of a sudden, they find they have all of this spare time on their hands. But instead of making use of that time, they just get grouchy. Well, not Ramsey. When he got laid off, he used his spare time to launch a second career. And when he received his diagnosis that he had cancer, he decided to reach out and help others. He actually decided to help raise awareness about melanoma. Now, I just love that. Here he was with a cancer diagnosis, and instead of having a pity party, well, he probably did have a pity party, but instead of dwelling in that place of pity, he was inspired to reach out to help save other people's lives. Now, we all encounter folks in our life who don't believe in us, right? Sometimes it's our classmates, sometimes it's a teacher, sometimes it's people in our own family. But